Elvis was born on January 8, 1935, in Tupelo, Mississippi. As Elvis grew up, he was inspired by the music around him from his church, men in his neighborhood, and the local country radio station. He would also compete in talent shows and loved the feeling he had when he won. His professional music career started because of a birthday present for his mom. He was recording a few songs for her when the Sun record label noticed his talents. In 1954, he released his first single, and the Elvis craze began, whether it was in protest of his gyrating hips or teenage girls falling in love. Then, in 1957, he was inducted into the military and honorably discharged after about a year and a half of service in Germany during World War II. When he returned, he continued with his career, and in 1967, he married a woman named Priscilla and had a daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, in 1968. However, heartbreak struck when they got divorced in 1937. Elvis lost custody of his child, but he powered through and continued to make music. Known as the King of Rock and Roll, he finished his career with 18 #1 singles, 3 Grammys, and multiple gold and platinum albums when he died of heart failure on August 16, 1977.
Andy Warhol was born to Lemko immigrant parents in 1928 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. As a child, he was often bedridden due to a nervous system disease called Sydenham's chorea, which causes involuntary movement of the arms and legs. When stuck in his room, he listened to the radio while he drew, developing his passion for art. After graduating from high school, he studied commercial art at the Carnegie Institute of Technology in Pittsburgh and began his road to fame. Warhol was the godfather of the pop art movement of the 60s, where artists use everyday consumer objects as subjects in printmaking or photos. Pop art demonstrated the dominant consumerism in the 1960s and society's capitulation to market culture. His Campbell soup cans and golden Marilyn Monroe prints made him famous worldwide. Additionally, Warhol was also a homosexual in a time period where American society was ignorant about gay culture. He dodged questions about his sexuality in interviews, but wrote in Warhol diaries about his encounters with different men.
John Steinbeck was born in 1902 in the farming community of Salinas, California. His books usually discuss social and economic issues of the time. Although he was initially shy about his passion for writing, Steinbeck joined Stanford University but eventually dropped out without a degree. He then studied biology at Hopkins Marine Station, Pacific Grove. Eventually, he moved to New York, where he struggled to get his break as a writer. His first success came with the novel Cup of Gold in 1929. Following that, and with the support from his first wife, Steinbeck published many books over the next decade, including Of Mice and Men and Tortilla Flat. However, his biggest success came with the novel The Grapes of Wrath in 1939. This novel explained the struggles families faced during the Great Depression and sold over 10,000 copies a week. For this piece, he also received a Pulitzer Prize in the year following. During World War II, Steinbeck worked as a correspondent in Africa, during which time he wrote Once There Was a War. Towards the end of his career, Steinbeck earned the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1962. Steinbeck died in 1968 at his home in New York City. Steinbeck's legacy came from his ability to connect with the struggles of those around him. His iconic writing in multiple words caused him to be one of the best artists of the time.
Frank Sinatra was born on December 12, 1915 in our own Hoboken, New Jersey. Being a high school dropout and going right into the world, he would sing at local nightclubs, and that caused him to get radio exposure and attention from Harry James, who Frank recorded his first few singles with. During the post-war time, Sinatra's career struggled, but he made a comeback in 1953 when he received an Oscar and signed with Capitol Records, even though a year later he dropped Capitol Records and created Reprise, his own recording company. He was also in a singing group called the Rat Pack during the 1960s with other talented singers including Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and Buddy Greco. Not only did Frank have a series of music hits, he also had a series of wives. He married Nancy Barbado, had 3 kids with her named Nancy, Tina, and Frank Sinatra Jr., and then got divorced. married Ava Gardner, got divorced, married Mia Farrow, got divorced, and then finally married his last wife, Barbara Marx, who he stayed with until he died on May 14, 1998. Not only did Sinatra have a long and strong career, he had mass appeal and a marvelous voice.
Georgia O'Keeffe was born on November 15, 1887, to dairy farmers in Wisconsin. She grew up learning that the land and the environment was important, and by age 10, O'Keeffe had decided to become an artist. She later studied at the Art Institute of Chicago, where she won many awards. Afterwards, her art was exhibited at a convention for the first time, but it was without her permission by Alfred Stieglitz, who later became her husband. The two fell madly in love and worked closely together. When the couple married, it was a huge scandal. He was 54 and she was 31. Several years later, he had a very public affair and they divorced shortly thereafter. Then, in her senior age, her eyesight started to fail her and she had to stop painting without assistance. She was a pioneer of modern art and changed the way artists drew landscapes. Georgia O'Keeffe created large-scale paintings of nature and flowers at close range. Towards the end of her career, she spent most of her time painting the landscapes of New Mexico. Ford gave her the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1977, and Reagan awarded her the National Medal of Arts in 1985, 1 year before she died.
Jack Kerouac was born and raised in Lowell, Massachusetts. As a child, his two favorite hobbies were reading and playing football. He joined Columbia University, where he continued to play football but was injured during a game. As a result of being sidelined after his injury, he drops out of Columbia. He stays in New York, where he meets Allen Ginsberg, William S. Burroughs, and Herbert Hunk. These were the men that would influence Kerouac's writing and beliefs. Kerouac called this group, including himself, the Beat Generation. The Beat Generation embraced counterculture and individuality and denounced the middle-class conformity. Kerouac got his big break when he and his friend Neil Cassidy took cross-country trips. Using the inspiration from this trip, Kerouac wrote On the Road, which would become the epitome of counterculture beliefs, even though it took 6 years to finally publish. During these 6 years, he traveled even more and published other books. His most famous novels include Book of Dreams, The Town and the City, Big Sur, The Dharma Bumps, and Dr. Sachs. He died at age 47 in St. Petersburg, Florida, of an abdominal hemorrhage. Kerouac was a symbol of the rebellious youth and the power within the younger generations. His books inspired people like The Doors, Bob Dylan, and Patti Smith. He was also named one of the most important figures of the 20th century by Life. By explaining the difficulties of balancing family expectations with his own unconventional life, Kerouac was able to connect with many people who are drifting from traditional morals.
Jail. The prison band was there and they began to wail. The band was jumping and the drum began to swing. You should have heard this knocked out jailbird sing. Let it rock. Everybody let it rock. Everybody in the whole cell block was dancing to the jailhouse rock. Spider Murphy played his tenor saxophone. Little Joe was blowing on the slide trombone. The drummer boy from Illinois would crash, boom, bang. The whole rhythm section was a purple gang. Let's rock. Everybody, let's rock. Everybody in the whole cell block was dancing to the jailhouse rock. Number 47 said to number 3, you're the cutest jailbird I ever did see. I sure would be delighted with your company. Come on and do the jailhouse rock with me. Let's rock. Everybody, let's rock. Everybody shifty and he said, nix, nix. I wanna stick around, I wanna get my kick. Let it rock. Everybody, let it rock. Everybody in the hotel block was dancing to the jail, let it rock. 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 Dancing to the jail, let it rock.